Welcome to the St. Louis Exposition and, of course, the P.S. Gilmore story. We're at episode 65 and this is part 2 of the St. Louis Exposition story and Gilmore's importance within that exposition. Now, from 1885 onwards, Gilmore performed there each year. So we were going to look at how it developed and what were their plans and so on. And how did this become the single biggest exposition at that time in St. Louis. Here is a planning letter from 1884 where they basically were, putting their plans in place for the development of it, and every cent that was made in profit, the committee at the time put it back into St. Louis and back into attracting more and more people to this exposition. Here's the music hall on the left. The center part of this building, I think, is the mechanical hall, and the far part, the far third, is the agricultural hall. This was built in 1885, and when Gilmore played there the first night, he said, this is the report. When Gilmore appeared, every seat in the dress circle in the galleries and side aisles were taken, and the lobbies and wide doorways of the ground floor and galleries were crowded with perspiring humanity. Round after round of applause greeted him. He bowed to the front, to the right, to the left, and all around, and still the uproar caused by the clapping of hands. And it continues. Here's an advertisement from 1885 for September the 9th at 7 p.m. And it would continue, it says, until October the 24th at 10:30 then. And the attractions, displays of machinery and implements, art galleries, and music will be rendered by the United States Cavalry Band and Gilmore's celebrated New York band. Gilmore said, "It is acoustically perfect. I can tell you I never played in such a hall before. You can say too that my wife and daughter, who are both with me, have travelled everywhere with me, say the same thing. I told them to go to all points in the hall and they did. They say there is not a hall in Europe or America superior to it. I'm surprised and delighted. Our reception has been very cordial, and I think now that we shall successfully go through the season. There is only one thing that disturbs me. Our programs are cut into 3 parts." And he went on to say that it basically didn't allow the band to settle, and you'll see it in the next slide where we'll show you a program from the St. Louis Exposition of this year. And here it is. There was 2 concerts, afternoon and evening. And you had part 1, part 2, and part 3. And then at 7:30 you had the evening part 1, part 2, and part 3. Now, so what Gilmore was complaining about, he would much prefer, as it was standard in his concerts, that there would be part 1 and part 2. Last 2 days of the concert, and this is for 1886, an advertisement of Gilmore's great band, popular music this afternoon, 2 days more, and St. Louis' great exposition for 1886, it will close its doors, only 2 days for the magnificent exhibits, etc. Why was Gilmore's band important? Because it would attract anywhere up to 900,000 people over the 2 months that Gilmore would appear there. Gilmore's band was by far the most popular musical organization anywhere in America. Sousa hadn't come on market as such at this stage, and at this stage, by the way, Gilmore was the undisputed king. He was the king of not only great music, but of the greatest band, not just in America, but in the world. It had been acclaimed as the leading band of the world by the Germans in their first tour of Europe in 1878. And so Gilmore would attract the 900,000 people. So when the 900,000 people were finished looking at his concert, they would then disperse to the agricultural hall or the mechanical hall or the other exhibits that were strewn all over the exposition grounds. And there they would see delights never seen before. And we'll show you some of those now in a second. Here's another advertisement of Gilmore's celebrated band in grand concerts afternoon and evening. And again, pointing out what Gilmore himself looked like, just in case if you ran into him. And the excitement must have been absolutely amazing. Remember, this was welcoming people not just to St. Louis, but to the West. And it was telling the visitor, there is a life here, there is a future here for you and your family. And so here are a few of the attractions in St. Louis and, of course, in the actual fairgrounds. Here's the main hotel of St. Louis at the time, the Lindell House Hotel. And indeed, pure coincidentally, it was in the Lindell House Hotel that Gilmore died later on in 1892. But it was in the Lindell House Hotel that there was a permanent suite kept for Gilmore and his wife and child. Here from the fairground was the amphitheatre where they had chariot races and other racing events, and the crowds all sat around the track. And if you wanted a little bit more relaxation, let's put it that way, with your beloved family, well, then you'd walk through Lafayette Park and view the fountains and lakes that were there. And here you see the type of dress of that era. And this, by the way, this piece of memorabilia, or as it's properly known as ephemera, is dated by whoever owned it as September of 1886. Here from the fairground also is the Monkey House. And so you'd have cages on the right hand side, and the monkeys could be viewed from the outside and so on. And this must have been extraordinary in these days of literally non-exposure to this type of attraction. Here are the bear pits. And this is actually the only attraction that I've found, and I may be wrong, and if I am, please correct me. The bear pits is still standing in, and here it is, in St. Louis. And although the spires are missing off the two centre turrets, it's such an ornate building. The whole ground must have been exquisite to view. And again, you're coming from rural America, you're coming from anywhere, and you see this type of architecture. This was an eye-opener to all. So that's the end of part 2 of the St. Louis Exposition and P.S. Gilmore's part. We'll be back next week with the part 3 episode. So click like and subscribe, and obviously tell your friends to view it. And if you have any questions or comments, you can also contact me at gilmoresband@gmail.com. Thank you very much. Bye from Ireland. Bye-bye.